cheapest milk, the cheapest brand of milk, the cheapest type of milk, the cheapest kind of milk, the cheapest milk. There's one brand in China that is known for having milk that is cheaper than a bottle of water. A bottle of milk is cheaper than a bottle of water. That's the brand that almost all of them went with.
Kind of alarming.
Yeah, the milk was still considered a top tier gift on the gift analysis hierarchy, with tissue paper being on the lower end. Almost all the men that brought tissue paper would bring like a small packet of tissue paper, like a 3-pack little Kleenex packet, but they would buy the cheapest 1-ply tissue paper that if you were to try and wipe water off your hand, it would stick to your hand and disintegrate into white fluff all over your hand. How do netizens know this? A mixture of personal experience, and according to some netizens who have personally viewed the illegal footage, they state that after one man gifted the 1-ply tissue paper, another man came over and used it to wipe their private parts, but the tissue paper disintegrated, leaving tens of little pieces of tissue paper on their private parts, and it is reported that this man spent quite a bit of time dusting it off of himself while Uncle Red just stood there watching and waiting. Another man brought a bag of fruit for Uncle Red, but apparently on the way, on the journey, on the trek to finding Uncle Red's place, he got so hungry that he ate half of the fruit.
Like, what do you mean ate half? Like half a watermelon type of half? Or just like a bag of apple? He ate half a bag. Okay.
But the top tier gift, the most expensive gift being cooking oil. One man was so stingy that he bought a bottle of cooking oil and he decided that he wasn't going to give Uncle Red all of the cooking oil. So he got a Dasani water bottle, filled that up with cooking oil, and brought the Dasani water bottle of cooking oil to Uncle Red's house.
Or it could just be leftover oil that he has at home.
Yeah. Another man brought one of the more valuable gifts. Some netizens have argued it's almost heartfelt, which is a fish. A fish that the man caught himself. Uncooked, still attached to the fishing wire. Just like a live fish from the river. And Uncle Red's response in his soft voice was an encouraging, "Wow, you were able to catch such a big fish." Some joke that by this rate, after 3 years, Uncle Red should be able to open up his own grocery store, and people have created memes of photoshopped images of Uncle Red in his own grocery store. It is to the point where people say if you're a Nanjing local, it's best not to walk around with a single lone watermelon, a carton of milk, or a bottle of oil. And that has also led to a lot of deep analysis on the men. There have been so the moral dilemma, it's tenfold. So first of all, the moral dilemma is this an appropriate reaction that the internet and society can have to a situation like this, where everything is okay up until Uncle Red illegally films these without consent and then releases them online? Clearly, that's a very bad crime. These men are ultimately victims, but is it okay to have this type of reaction? That's the first moral dilemma. The second moral dilemma comes in the fight of a lot of guys and women are fighting in the comments section. So a lot of girls, they are making jokes about this case. And they're saying, you know what? Because I feel like there are lots of crimes against women where men make jokes about it. I mean, take the Diddy baby oil situation, for example. Lots of jokes are being made. And so why do we have to suddenly be so sensitive when nobody is sensitive towards crimes against women? And so it's been like this back and forth, almost like a mini gender war at times. It's been really intense. And then there's also been conversations of why did all these men even go to Uncle Red's house? A lot of men have decided to take this as a teaching moment for women. And they are telling women it's because Uncle Red gives off energy where he will support men. And it's because all of these feminist gold diggers are just looking for Lamborghinis and not cooking oil. It's why women can't get any of these young straight men, and Uncle Red is getting all of them. And that's become a whole conversation itself.
Yeah. I saw one. It was like a guy, the girlfriend was like, I want a new iPhone. And then he flashed back to Uncle Red.
Yeah.
Like only wanting a Apple.
Yeah. So one netizen breaks it down of Uncle Red's allure. And he says, Uncle Red's videos actually sneak in a whole crash course on how to treat men. The second a guy walks in through the door, Uncle Red greets him like an old friend, not with a stuck up like, what do you want? Why are you here face? Which, I don't know anyone who does that, but okay. A second, the apartment is decent at best, but it feels cozy, like a home. 3, he even washes fruit, hands it over. Even for a casual fling, he gets treated like an honorable guest at Uncle Red's. 4, he takes charge to initiate physical conduct instead of just laying there like a dead starfish. He's fully engaged. 5, when a couple of guys get overwhelmed and get performance anxiety down there, Uncle Red doesn't roll his eyes or pile on pressure. He eases the awkwardness and gets them back in the game. 6, he has thick lips. One netizen agrees, saying Uncle Red has proved to women that men are not actually picky. But a lot of women have a lot of things to say about that, obviously, with one comment reading, I want to thank Uncle Red for getting rid of so many red flags for us. And they're not even talking about the men in the videos. They're talking about people saying things like this about Uncle Red. So it's become another moral dilemma. One netizen even comments, his voice is gentler than 80% of Chinese women, which I'm telling you, Chinese women had a field day with that comment. Another one comments, Uncle Red reflects the emptiness in the Chinese man's heart. Their wives are too fierce. At least Uncle Red is submissive. Another group of men are just fully outraged that women are not outraged at this situation because the victims are men, stating that women would have been more outraged had the victims been women. And women are agreeing, saying, yeah, but when have you been outraged last time the list of victims were women? Like, men are never outraged. It's women being outraged for women. And now the men are the victims. You guys go be outraged. We're tired. So that's been another whole collective discourse of like, why are women being held to greater, higher standards than men? And why do we have to be the emotional outrage factor for every single crime that's ever been committed if men don't do the same for women? So that's been a conversation. A lot of women are also expressing frustration that a lot of men are using this to teach their girlfriends, wives, and random internet women lessons on how to be more generous and less demanding in order to get a man. There is also a debate online, a completely separate debate, of whether or not Uncle Red disclosing or not that he is a man to the male guests is a violation of consent or not. With people debating online, if they don't know that Uncle Red is a man and they are catfished under the impression that he is a woman, is that a crime in and of itself? Or is that some sort of moral dilemma in and of itself? I think the conversation is tricky because when it comes to disclosure of genders, usually I'm on the side of people that have not had gender affirming surgery will usually, for their own safety, disclose to their partners prior to intimacy. And also because they even state preference for certain equipment. It has no correlation to any sort of homophobia, transphobia. Like sometimes you're just not attracted to certain body parts. And so you want to let them know like, hey, I might have a body part that you're not attracted to. So let me tell you before we get started. However, Uncle Red is not a member of the trans community. And this is clearly not a normal situation. Uncle Red's main objective here is to profit off these hidden camera videos. And side note, that's another moral dilemma of like, he's genuinely perpetuating homophobia and transphobia through this case. So it's not good. But the fact that he's not disclosing that he's a man, I mean, it's up for debate. A lot of people are debating whether that goes against consent. Many netizens have gone through the footage and sorted these men into 3 different categories. The first group being a group of men that do not ask Uncle Red about his gender, likely not even thinking about it. They have intimate relations, and because of the way Uncle Red lifts up his skirt and very quickly moves things along, they may not have even noticed anything about what equipment Uncle Red possesses down there. With some netizens arguing, just because the men don't ask doesn't make it less deceitful. Some saying, well, they didn't know, so it doesn't matter. But then some are saying, maybe if it wasn't for the videos being released, because maybe if they didn't know, it didn't matter to them. They didn't ask. Uncle Red didn't tell them. And then they had these consensual intimate relations. That's fine. But then now these videos are being posted online without their consent. And then add the element that we still live in a society, especially in Asian countries, where there is a lot more homophobia that can actually, I mean, even in the US, still, even in Western countries, that can ruin your life, that can take away your job, that can do all of these things. Does that make it less consensual because of the video element? I mean, you could go down this entire rabbit hole, black hole for like 10 years. And then you have a second group of people from the victims list where they discover that Uncle Red is a man and they don't care, with a few even reciprocating oral activities. There's no debate there until you get to the illegal videos. And then you have the third group of people that have their suspicions, or they straight up ask Uncle Red, like the might as well guy, and he lies to them. There's one video where a man starts interrogating him, like, is that a, and he flat out lies. Uncle Red is like, don't be ridiculous, you're seeing wrong. And from there, some of these men will run away. Uncle Red does not hold them captive, but still, that's not saying much. And then others are staying and just pushing through the activities. Netizens are arguing whether or not straight up lying is a violation against the men. If the answer is yes, it is a violation, then the next argument dilemma is, then what about the ones that continue to stay afterwards, even though netizens claim that you can see on their faces that they don't believe Uncle Red? Is that still a violation against them? Is that not a violation? People are saying it's just very confusing, and I think that everybody has a different opinion about this case. Some are saying you can't have these debates without bringing in the illegal filming and releasing of these videos factor. Because maybe if they knew the whole world was going to find out about it, they would have asked. Maybe they wouldn't have stayed because maybe they're not homophobic, but they're scared of being outed. Maybe they genuinely thought that Uncle Red was a woman. Like, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's like a moral conundrum, I guess, is how people describe it. And then there is the morality of doxing the victims. So there has been a lot of debate of, would this have happened if the victims were women? And okay, I will say one thing, which is when we do a lot of research for these cases, I think it's a really good conversation of like two things can be true at once. I think male victims, especially when it's crimes, like sexual crimes, especially when the perpetrator is a woman, and it's a male victim, they do not get taken seriously. However, I don't think we can always say, would this have happened if the woman was the victim? Because, I mean, there's so many cases where women are the victims, a lot of cases where women are the victims. They're laughed at, they're mocked, nothing happens, they get injustice. So it almost insinuates that if you're a female victim, you're gonna get justice. Everyone's gonna stick up for you, which is not the case at all. So I think two things can be true at once. However, this I might agree with because there has been a lot of social media discourse about the titles of the videos that people are re-releasing these illegal footage videos under. So a lot of these websites have taken these videos and started creating eye-catching titles. For example, one reads, "Buzz cut, anxious guy, brother says nothing, just keeps taking off his clothes. Looks like he's getting ready to fight." Another one reads, "Milk guy knows Uncle Red has been working hard, taking care of so many people, brings milk to help Uncle Red recover." Another one just reads, "Done in a minute." Another one, "Die-hard fan of Uncle Red, returns multiple times." Another, "A carton of milk and a packet of tissues in exchange for Red's private time." Another, "Watermelon brother brings coolness to Uncle Red's scorching hot summer. Who wouldn't love such a thoughtful man?" So some people are saying if these were illegal videos of women that were taken without their consent, would they have been released? But then you have some women fighting back and they're saying, actually they would have, and they would have created titles like this. But what's crazy is it happens so often, it actually doesn't make the news, and that's why you don't think it happens.
You know, literally, as we speak, there's a huge Anthroom case in China that's happening at the same time.
Oh, I do think I got some emails about that.
Yeah, which everyone's talking about this. Yeah.
So it's like, just when you think, okay, that's a good point, then someone will come and say, no, it's because you're just unaware, because when it's a female victim, it happens so frequently, it doesn't really make the news unless it's a massive scale operation. So it's been this huge back and forth. And one of the main topics being, who defines victim? Are these men victims or not? Because a lot of people are also saying a lot of these men, they're here to take advantage of someone. They're here to take advantage of Uncle Red. And yeah, it's consensual, but like, they're not perfect victims. Others are arguing a lot of these men got caught cheating on their wives. A lot of these men have families. A lot of these men have girlfriends, fiancés. So are they a victim? If they came here to do something bad and then something backfires, is it karma or is it victimization? That's been a conversation online. I'm not saying that's my conversation. And some people are even saying that the meme culture around this case is a lot. People have started creating anime business cards. So, you know, you do like the character. It's like it gives you a rating for, it's like a video game.
Oh.
Not
Are
anime,
you talking
like a video
about
game.
like Pokemon cards type of?
Kind of, but it's like a thing now where you do it business style as well. So it's almost like characters in someone's office building.
Okay.
And you describe their personality and you rank them by appearance, EQ, IQ, overall ratings, stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, got it.
They do stars, and then they have like a cartoon character that they've drawn out of these these guys from the video. And so, for example, one is nicknamed Strong Work Smell Guy, which is a term for in China where you're just overworked, exhausted, stressed out, and you carry around this scent of work with you. Like you just never can escape the idea that work is very depressing and everyone can feel it off of you. He comes over to Uncle Red's house. The two of them have their intimate relations. He wraps up rather quickly. Uncle Red asks him for $138, to which he responds, "My wife has all the money. If you want, go ask her." And then he runs off. He has his own little character card, and people are ranking him like 1 out of 5 stars. Others have described incredibly intense psychoanalysis of people's visits to Uncle Red's house, with one netizen post reading, "This guy never cares about hygiene and always complains a lot. He always looks guarded, looks around carefully, doesn't even want to wash up for Uncle Red. He hates the way Uncle Red looks. He only talks about how he feels, and he uses and trashes so many tissues. It's a blatant disregard for others and their belongings. He's selfish, seems to hate Uncle Red, but it's all a facade because he's come back multiple times and this is a reoccurring visitor." Then another one gets a card, and his name is just character number 2, Stingy Chubby Guy. It reads, "Came empty-handed, bargained while doing the housework, didn't cooperate well, only did part of the quote chores, and left in a hurry." Another one reads, "Fruit Uncle. He's very warm and kind when he visits the elderly." Parentheses, Uncle Red. "He brings fruit and gives him a big hug to show he cares. He's also hardworking, so he does the chores. When he leaves, he'll even take out the trash. He's really amazing. We are also moved." Then another one. "This guy has a hot temper, is very straightforward, but the contract is already signed. He's already here. He will fulfill the agreement. At least he keeps his promises." Or another one that reads, "Thermal Pants Guy. Whenever he comes in for a meeting, he wears the same brown outfit with thermal pants. Every time he talks about the plan, he's very supportive, saying encouraging things like, 'If you do well, you'll get a bonus.' His ability is pretty sharp and he seems to enjoy discussing the plan. He shows a strong willingness to work together and collaborate." Then you have people under these saying, is this actually appropriate to make for victims of crimes? And then people will fight back and comment, well, are they really victims if they're cheating, if they're putting their family at risk? Because there were reports coming out stating that these men from Uncle Red's videos, a lot of the videos, you can see sometimes that they will find certain fluids around their private parts that seem to be suspicious looking. And it seems like they have blatant disregard for their health, for their intimate health. And if they're married, if they're dating someone else, they could be spreading these things on unknowingly to people that some people on the internet believe are the true victims. Some people are saying the only victims really in this case are the wives and the girlfriends that are dating the men that are going to Uncle Red's house. It was briefly reported by the media that 11 of the men from Uncle Red's videos were tested and positive for HIV, but the police quickly shut that down, saying that's nothing but rumors. However, they later state there are like 3 people that did test positive for HIV. However, it's unclear if it's connected to Uncle Red. In fact, they cannot release if Uncle Red has any sort of contagious disease, STD or HIV, because that would be a violation of his privacy, which a lot of netizens are upset about because they're like, a violation of his privacy? He violated so many people's privacy. Release that information.
Yeah, and then like, you know, all the people that's connected, 1,600 people connects to thousands of people.
Now, the authorities have stated that the 1,000+ number is a gross exaggeration. However, netizens don't believe the authorities. Netizens are like, I saw the pictures, I saw the videos, I'm believing the rumors. It's a lot of guys. Maybe it's not 1,600, maybe it's 1,500, maybe it's 900. Does it matter? It's a lot of guys. That's what netizens are saying. People are also annoyed because the government can't do anything. However, they are opening up their health center for a free HIV test if you feel like you are in fear of contracting something.
Oh, because of this?
Yes. In Nanjing. Yes.
Oh, wow. So they do think there could be a lot of people that needs to get checked up.
Yes.
Wow.
So some people have used this as, see, these men are not victims. In fact, the only victims are their families that are at home or their wives and their girlfriends. Others are saying, well, they are victims because they're at risk and Uncle Red probably didn't tell them. But then the other argument is, well, they knew what they're going when they're going there. Like, they're not just going there to show up. So it's just been this carnival ride loop around of debates. Side note, some netizens also believe that this case is weeding out the not so bright men from the bright one. One boyfriend proudly texted his girlfriend that he bought a self-test kit at home since he had recently gone on a business trip to Nanjing, and he proudly stated that he tested negative. And he was very proud of him. Yeah, he proudly stated that he tested negative, and he was very proud of himself for thinking ahead. And his girlfriend's response was obviously very cold and detached. And he says, "You're so cold. I'm safe, baby. Are you not happy?" To which netizens think this is the epitome of an empty mind. That was probably up to no good. With one comment reading, "A business trip? So frightened you took a test immediately? If he didn't cheat on this business trip, why would he need to take a test to begin with?
Yeah.
It's not like you catch it through the air."
Wow. The girlfriend posted that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And with this HIV scare that's happening, a lot of people in the LGBTQIA community are upset because it's like, again, are we really going to do this again where we are creating these homophobic, fear-based situations of the correlation between gay men and HIV? And it's just, I can see how infuriating that is. Specifically because I do think Uncle Red got off on duping straight men into believing that he was a woman. I think that was also part of the quote allure for selling these videos.
Yeah.
I think the people that were purchasing these videos, that was a huge element. It's very annoying. There have also been conversations on whether or not this is a comparable situation to Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue, if you don't know, is, I think she's based in the UK. Is she British? I'm not sure, but she's an OnlyFans model who recently broke the record of sleeping with like 1,000 men in 12 hours in a day. 1,000 men. And she got a lot of hate. I mean, it made news internationally. People hated her. Versus Uncle Red, I think he's almost become a meme to the point where I don't think people hate him per se. They just make fun of him. I don't think there's this like deep rooted, I despise you, you're setting humanity back. Whereas that was the case with Bonnie Blue. And there has been this debate of, wait, why is a woman who does it consensually with men that are consensual, with men that know everything about her, and she's very proactive about STD health and preventing STDs, why does she get hate, but this man who's doing it is almost become a legend? Then a lot of guys come in and they're arguing, oh, well, you know why? It's because in Bonnie Blue's situation, the real victim are women, because women feel like she's perpetuating negative stereotypes about women and creating this stigma that women should be open and available for men and are obsessed with just like anyone on the street. Whereas in Uncle Red's situation, he's only victimizing men. And so these men are saying that's why women don't care. And that's why the world hates Bonnie Blue, because the ultimate victim is probably Bonnie Blue and other women. And whereas for Uncle Red, it's just men. But then there's been a lot of pushback on that as well. There's even been pushback on Uncle Red's name. So a lot of Chinese female netizens are really upset because initially he was called Uncle Red. And then people started calling him Sister Red or like Red Auntie.
Also, just for clarification, some people call it Uncle Hong.
Yes.
Hong. So Hong is the Chinese word for red.
Yes.
That's why people call it Sister Hong, Uncle Hong. It just means red in Chinese.
And a lot of Chinese female netizens were upset and they were stating, stop calling him Sister Hong. Like, there are 0 women involved. This is a man's crime. Don't drag women into it. Like, this is a man targeting men, harming men, and why do we have to call him a woman? And I think it has to do with the fact that he never states that it has nothing to do with the trans community. It genuinely just seems like he did this because it's part of the allure. It's part of the videos. It's part of maybe a kink that he has is to trick straight men. So a lot of people were upset about that in China. And they're saying, it doesn't make sense why we have to make him Sister Hong. With a lot of female Chinese netizens fighting back and saying, if a woman had genuinely secretly recorded and leaked footage of her sleeping with over 1,000 men, sold the footage without the men's consent and profited money off of it, she would have been eaten alive online. But Uncle Red has become a meme. So this is not a woman. Like, this is Uncle Red. He's never identified as a woman outside of committing these crimes. So what are we doing here? That's been a huge argument. Others are arguing Uncle Red did nothing wrong. except for the videos. They're saying having sex with men is not wrong as a man. And everyone's like, wait, but we know that. So that's just been like a weird conversation. But some people are commenting justice for Uncle Red. He did nothing wrong. Those men wanted it. I mean, I think that has a deeper meaning than just the words on the screen, though, because those men wanted it. That sounds like a play on when female victims want it. With one netizen also writing, I think apart from the secret filming and cheating, there is nothing to criticize. There's nothing wrong with being gay, being bi, but there's nothing wrong with dating or hooking up. There's nothing wrong with liking Uncle Red's appearance either, which a lot of people are like, well, now you're just boiling it down to this like random argument that everybody already knows. It's like, of course, nothing's wrong with being gay. We already knew that. But this is like a really weird situation to be like, there's nothing wrong with being gay. When everyone's like, yeah, we know there's nothing wrong with being gay.
Yeah.
You're the weird one for thinking like this is your coming out moment of like, there's nothing wrong with being gay. Like, no, we've been there. We all know. Did you just catch up? So there's been that argument of people fighting back and forth. And then some people are saying people who are saying that are just trying so hard to be woke that they're like, no, guys, this is a victimless crime. And then some people, it's just been such a fight.
That's crazy. Yeah.
There have also been some memes that some people find funny, some people find very offensive, but some netizens have gone on to Photoshop Uncle Red's face onto Buddha statues. Buddha statue that depicts Uncle Red standing, resting both feet on the heads of two young men. And in one hand is a watermelon, in the other hand is a bottle of oil. Others are making cakes of Uncle Red's face with words that read, I wish you have 1,691 men pursuing you this new year. It's supposed to be a celebratory cake. And so people are like, that is crazy that this is happening. And it just seems like the deeper that you go in, if you pass like the first layer of memes and people joking around, it becomes this black hole of moral dilemmas and arguments. And it seems like no one seems to agree on any aspect. It seems like at some point, people start diverging in their thoughts and their moral opinions of like, okay, well, maybe some people think it's okay up until this point. Some people are like, it isn't okay up until this point. And it just goes on and on. What are your thoughts, though? Side note, Uncle Red is, if sentenced, which he likely will be, he will probably spend at least 10 years in prison, if not more, considering how strict the justice system is in China. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe. I will see you in the next one.